Friday night, I want a Chippy Tee. Chippy Tee, Chippy Tee, I want a Chippy Tee. Oh, you keep giving me posh, no, she don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry coulis. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights, I want a Chippy Tee.
We'll just chew the fat for a bit. I know your life's been a bit crazy. My life's been just bizarre over last week. I was really settling down to have 3 weeks off work. Well, not 3 weeks off work, 3 weeks off travelling. Where, you know, we're only human. We've got housekeeping stuff to do. I've got me edge to cut and me garden to cut.
You've got your bird aviary to sort with, sounds of it.
Chuff me. Can you hear him?
I didn't know you'd moved at Bahamas.
I've got back door open. So yeah, I've got all that shit to sort out. You know, I've got some car stuff to sort out where I've got to get some repairs done, and I've got some personal stuff, some documents to do. My passport is full, which means when you get a passport, you get 33 pages on it, and I managed to fill it. Which, to be fair,
a good achievement.
It's been a lifetime's achievement, if I'm honest. I've always wondered, you know, I wonder if anybody actually fills these. And when I've been travelling, I found loads of people that fill them as a normal thing. The Americans don't understand it because they don't have passports and they don't get them stamped.
I was just going to ask if between states to state, we obviously don't need passports or anything. We just go freely like a bus.
Control, no, you just keep wandering about. You're officially in the same federal state, federal government. So it's like going from Poland to Romania. You know, you don't really need to. So yeah, we're 3 weeks. We're supposed to do that, and then I got a call. Could I bring my trip forward? So, well, actually, yeah, I have got 3 weeks spare, but it was for housekeeping. It was just for me, bits and pieces.
Yeah.
You don't understand how much you can't do when you're travelling all the time. Just these little bits and pieces. You know,
you sort of look forward to it as well, don't you? It's really sad, but you think, I can't wait for a few weeks just to sort my life out.
Yeah, just a bit of life housekeeping, yeah.
And then what happens?
Yeah, somebody calls and says, "Can you do this?" So obviously, work comes first anyway. But so I'll be in Belgium next week, and then I land from Belgium on the Friday, and then Saturday I'm on my way to America again. So 0 time to wash my pants and fold my t-shirts. And I mean, you was going to do some lenticular stuff because we had to play with lenticular, didn't we?
Yeah, well, that can go on back burner for now, can't it?
Some high build stuff.
Lenticular, give it a few weeks and we'll have another crack at that. We've already failed once, but they'll come back with a vengeance.
That's how you learn.
Of course it is.
I was at
11 years doing it.
I was at a place last week. 47 years experience between father and son.
That has to be
47 years experience. So
must be pretty high up on the list, that.
I'm going in there like, can I teach him anything?
Why have you still caught him with the round
surely they know everything. Surely.
Old dog no tricks though, isn't it? I bet there's loads of bad habits.
Fundamentally, they were doing one thing wrong. Now, this is a strange one. They were coating the screens 2 and 1, which we do. But they were drying in between them.
You've told me this story.
They were drying in between 1 and 1. And then drying and do 2 and 1. Oh, look, Paul's here, look.
Hello, gentlemen, how are you?
We're all good. Paul, how are you?
We're all good.
I'm a little bit nervous, if truth be known.
Have you had a couple of Dutch courage shots? That'll sort you out.
No, but I think I should have done.
Can you hear us all right? You don't need earphones, you know, right?
Really?
Yeah, I can, yes.
Have you got a coffee? Have you got a bit?
Yeah.
On Water. Oh, he's up Posh Water. No council pop at Magna.
Posh Water.
It's branded avian.
Yeah, but it is.
True water-based. Right, we haven't started yet, Dan. Yeah, Paul, so you're all right.
Right, okay.
World's Most Yorkshire episode. Here we go. Episode 76.
Right, you do the intro then, Danny.
Oh, no, it's not my job. I'm
right,
not
ready?
Intros and stuff. Go for it.
Right, okay. So, here we go. Kicking off with episode 76 of Chippy Tee Podcast. What is the Chippy Tee Podcast? It is usually a little video call between me, Tony P. at Palm Print, and
Danny D. from Pacific Print Co.
And this week we are joined by Paul Woodward from Magna Colours in Barnsley. Hiya, Paul.
Hey up, Paul.
You're right.
How you diddling?
Straight
You
into
sound.
the ups.
Yeah, we're going
Right.
to kick it off with the most Yorkshire episode ever, with all of us being from, I think we're all West Yorkshire.
Yeah, always. Well, I don't live here now, but
South,
Colours.
oh yeah, South Yorkshire, yeah, God,
Oh,
God, here
dear.
we go, yeah. That's like calling Brid East Yorkshire, but we don't even get into that. He's originally
I'm from
from
Humberside now.
Casvegas. You're from Casvegas, you know you are.
Yeah, about as wezzy as it gets, I think.
Wesey, West Yorkshire, Wesey. So, we are here with Paul, so we'll kick off with you, Paul, because, you know, you're looking really scared, so there's no to be frightened of. We're just going to ask you, are you really a printer or what? How did you start?
So I've got no print experience before I came to Magna Colours. This is my 12th year at Magna Colours. I come from a graphics background, so I used to work at sign companies. So rather than print on T-shirts, I used to print on vinyl.
All right, okay.
Oh, yeah. So,
What,
like large
ink?
formats.
So all solvent ink and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's probably harder to use than water-based, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It was still
Yeah, I
keeping
used to print that.
Yeah.
It's not exactly easy because it does dry in very quickly, and if you're doing like solvent stuff, it's all single colour down the dryer, single colour down the dryer, single colour down the dryer. So you end up looking at the same job 6 times sometimes.
Yeah. And again, we used to do a lot of digital printing onto vinyl as well. So
Yeah.
again, really super fine detail. So a lot more problems with registration and detail than what you get in T-shirts. So you get like a trained eye where you only see what's wrong rather than what's right.
Yeah.
I think that applies to all printers, doesn't it, really?
Printers, yeah.
Yeah.
The tolerances are way higher in the sign and graphic industry. For I mean, whereas we're printing on a T-shirt, if it's slightly out, but on a graphic print on a sign, it has to be absolutely
It has to be
to the
flawless,
millimetre.
It has to be flawless.
So that's almost a good precursor to getting into T-shirts. It starts you off on right foot.
It is, and a lot of the practices I've carried into Magna. So yeah,
Cool.
attention to detail, trying to get right first time, clarity, things like that.
It's important, yeah. So what is it you do at Magna now? What's your job at Magna?
So this is my 12th year at Magna Colours, and what I do is I manage the applications room along with Melvin Hall, who used to work with Tony.
1987 to 1990,
Really?
I worked with Melvin. And I honestly tell this story to everybody. Melvin taught me how to print. Everything I know originates, if you go right back to Melvin Hall. There were 2 people running the print shop in Wakefield, John Green and Son. There were Careful Ken and Melvin Hall. And Melvin was the nice guy. And so he would help you out. He would teach you how to print. He would show you where you're going wrong. He would give you tips and help you all the time. So I've got much respect for Melvin.
Yeah, he still is a nice guy. We've worked together 5+ years now, and we've never had a single crossword in all that time. Never a fallout. And again, we're pretty much be aligned with the way we're thinking on things. So both perfectionists, both like to get things right, both care about the customers. Going back to your question, so we run the applications room, and in that it's predominantly development. So working with the lab next door, testing. We do all the sampling in the apps lab. We also go out and do field visits. We do all the customer training, technical support, pretty much anything and everything in the print side of things.
Okay, and what? Just so everybody knows, what machinery have you got in the applications lab?
We've got a 6-station manual M&R, and we've got an 8-station Sportsman M&R, and we've got a 3-meter mini sprint M&R gas dryer, and then we've got a couple of transfer machines, and we've got an ink dispenser. That's pretty much it.
Do you like the ink dispenser?
Yes, I do actually. I think it's it just gets rid of a lot of mess. We've had customers in this week, so I've been showing them how to use it. And when it's used correctly, I think it's a great tool. Again, certain parts of the world where the education's not been great, or the passing of information's not. I just think it takes away all the stress for customers. We always tell people we've done the hard work, so they don't really need to.
Yeah. So it's when you're passing on the information and you lose a little bit. There's a name for that, isn't there, Danny?
Still dilution.
That's the one.
Now, it's mandatory now that everybody takes a shot.
There is a drinking game going, just so you know, Paul, there is a drinking game going on in the background. There's like a bingo card, and skill dilution is first shot of the night. So,
okay.
So everybody's already half tipsy listening to this.
I like it. So when does this go out then? Because I might join you later on then.
Probably be.
It's down to Danny.
Mid next week. We did have a really well scheduled plan.
Right. Okay.
And then I decided to become a busy screen printer. So mid next week, maybe Wednesday.
Right. The term Chippy Tee comes from, what do you normally have on a Friday?
Yeah, Chippy Tee.
You have a Chippy Tee, don't you? So it was supposed to be released at 5 o'clock on a Friday, but then real life gets in the way, and I'm never in the same time zone. Danny's actually got real work to do, and it sometimes spreads a little bit.
And I have Chippy every day now, so my Friday Chippy Tee tradition, it's any day, so that's why I can post when I want.
Yeah, me too.
Oh dear.
So the dispensing system, just briefly describe, because I've seen dispensing systems that take up a full room, and they have these big IBCs connected with all sorts of colours and pipes, and it looks like that machine that Willy Wonka goes through.
Yeah,
you know, in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So just describe the dispensing system in a nutshell for us.
So the dispenser that we've got at Magna is probably one of the more smaller ones. It's probably about 3 foot wide, about 4 foot tall, linked to a laptop. It works using Magnamix software, so that is 12 eco pigments, 7 fluorescent pigments. Currently, we've got about 19,000 formulas on there, Pantone colours and branded formulas. And again, like I say, it was linked up to the software. You put your pot under, type in the amount you want. If you've got a large job, you can put in multiple pots, and it'll dispense anything from 100 grams to 120 kilos.
So do you put your own base in and it puts the colours in?
Yeah, you need to pre-mix the base and the neutral, whatever base you're putting in there, and then it just dispenses the pigments, yeah.
So it's nice and accurate.
It's plus or minus accurate to 1/100th of a gram. So even on pastel shades, it's very, very accurate.
That's the hard bit with pastel shades in water-based colours. The concentrates that we're dealing with are so minute, and I've worked in places where the grams, the scales go up in 2 full grams at a time.
Wow. Yeah,
we can't understand why they're not getting good colours.
We usually recommend customers to get a set of scales with at least 2 decimal places or like 100th of a gram. But you're absolutely right. When customers come and test us with the dispenser, they never ask for a bright red or a bright blue. They always asking for like a skin tone. Yeah.
So funnily enough, yesterday, I was trying to mix an off-white. And I made 2 batches of ink, and one was more of a skin tone colour, more red, and one was basically daisy yellow.
Yeah.
And then I mixed them both together and got the perfect shade that I was after. But funnily enough, so the upgrade I've just made is to a new set of scales that go up in 0.001 increments.
Yeah. It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. Again, for us, when we're colour matching, if we're talking pastel shades, we will typically mix at 100 grams. You imagine if you get it wrong and you scale that up to 120 kilos and you put something black in, you've wasted a lot of ink there. So it has to be very accurate. So for us, it's really important. It really is. And again, from the scales point of view and the dispenser, I've been in print shops like you both have, where on a Monday morning where the printer comes in and he's had a rough weekend, you're going to get a different colour than what you are on a Friday afternoon.
We get that a lot. Yeah,
you can see the stages along the week where they start getting tired or they start looking forward to the weekend. But colour consistency is massive. So,
I actually recommend sometimes to weaken the black, and have myself a little 10% mix of black into a binder. So dilute it. So when it asks for 0.1 of a gram, I put 1 gram in, because for me it's easier to control 1 gram than 0.1. And I have a little pot on the side which is a 10% strength black. Right. All I have to remember to move the decimal point, otherwise I'm mixing forever. But it's sometimes that one little drop just ruins everything.
Yeah, I think if the colours have been matched correctly in the first place, we shouldn't have that concern. Again, also as well, from experience, depending on the substrate they printed on, everything that we do is matched onto a white background, whether it be a white underbase or a white garment. And then you go into a print shop and they wanting you to match the same colour on like a jute tote bag that's brown, and you want the colours darker.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
So would you say then that most of the Magna Mix colours are formulated for a clean white background?
So the low solids like the ND Extra, the Base FF, HB, they're actually printed 2 strokes through a 62 mesh on a white fabric, non-OBA, so we don't want an optical brighter, and then we'll check it on a D65. Everything else, like the iSolids, the Discharge, is printed on a black background. iSolids, things like aquaflex, if we're printing like a red, we'll print a white underbase first and then print the colours over the top of it.
Yeah.
That way you get true colour rather than, fabric showing through underneath.
So just as a recap, what's D65?
I was literally about to say that.
I know you were. It took me back about 30 years, but I know what it is. But I looked at Danny's face and he was like, underwear? Under cupboard?
We have a light cabinet at the side of the colour kitchen, and we check everything at D65, which is natural sunlight, or it's meant to imitate natural sunlight.
We've talked about this, Tony, haven't we?
Yeah.
Again, we will match to different light sources if asked or if requested by customers. Things like shop light, TL84.
Marks and Spencer's used to be TL84. Yeah, TL84. That was the standard. Marks and Spencer's put TL84 tubes in their stores, and then everybody else went. British Home Stores came along and went, we want what they've got.
Yeah.
And then Woolworths came along and went, we want what they've got. So TL84 became the sort of retail standard. What will it look like in the shop? We know what it looks like in natural sunlight, which is the D65. But what does it look like in the shop? Oh, well, you have to look at it under TL84 lighting.
Exactly.
Do they still use TL84? Because LED's around now, isn't it?
No, we do actually. We do, depending if we get asked by certain customers. But certain colours like yellows or reds, there's quite a big difference. It jumps quite a lot. So what might look all right under natural sunlight or on the D65, when you actually put it in a shop, looks completely different.
So in depth. It's one of those things where I suppose having the light. I mean, I had a job that particular colour I mentioned earlier. The headache I had trying to get it absolutely perfect, but I was walking around shop under different lights. I mean, I was looking at the graphic on one computer screen and another, and it's so.
Computer
but even
screen.
the Pantone
Come on,
books,
Danny. Computer screen. Come on.
I think one of the things that we say to customers is if you've got a latest Pantone book, on the back page there's the 2 browns. And when the 2 browns become 1 brown, that's generally a good light source.
Yeah, that's a really good tip.
Usually one's on the red side, one's on the green side. And when they actually start moulding together and disappear, that's usually a good light source. Again, the UK is probably not the best place for checking, but outside in the car park's as good as anywhere.
Yeah, April 14th, about 3 o'clock. That's it.
Yeah.
Once a year for about an hour.
This strip lighting or LEDs or fluorescent lighting or whatever, it's not the greatest, light source for checking colours.
No.
Again, we are a lab setting, so we have to try and do everything correctly. So we do have a light cabinet, and we recommend to people if you can afford one or doing a lot of colours, it's worthwhile getting one.
Yeah, absolutely.
More accurate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got a gas dryer in there. You say you've got the little Sprint 3 meter thing.
We do. Yeah.
So how important do you think it is then to have either forced air or infrared for water-based inks? Really,
we would always recommend forced air.
Why is that? Is there a scientific reason for that?
It's important that you need to drive off all the moisture with water-based.
Is that what it is? Just removing all the moisture?
Yes.
What happened? Do you know what chemically happens with the ink when all the water's gone?
I don't.
Because I believe it to be like a crosslinker that's built in there that activates once the water's gone. Am I getting the right sort of area?
Yes. Yeah. We like I say, we do need the ink and the fabric to bond together, and we do need to make sure we drive off all the moisture. Chemically, scientifically, what the process is, you'd have to speak to cleverer people than I.
Yeah. Magic.
Yeah, it's dark arts. Yeah, it's witchcraft. I'm all right with it being witchcraft, to be honest. That explains it in my head perfectly.
So, would you say that forced air is critical?
Yes.
So that's interesting because I make aquaflex work with just a very low budget tunnel dryer, standard basic ceramic heat panels.
Right. Okay. Do you put any additives in there? Crosslinkers?
Not a thing.
Oh, okay. Well, if it works, it works.
Yeah, but not Magna recommended.
Yeah.
So what could he put in it? What could he put in it, Paul, to make it sort of like bulletproof?
So we've got a range of crosslinkers that will allow you to cure for a lower time and temperature.
Can you go as far as just time? Just leave it for 24 hours and it'll dry.
We can, yeah. So we've got a crosslinker called Crosslinker 200, and you can leave it 48 to 72 hours, depending on where you are in the world. If you're somewhere cold, it's going to take longer. If you're somewhere warm, it's going to speed up the process. But generally speaking, if you printed on a Friday and you came in Monday, Tuesday morning, the garment should be fully cross-linked and fully cured.
No way. And if you were to do that
process... We used to do that. To be fair, we used to do that in late 80s. That was called, I think it was called Monotex, the ink. And that was, in the Far East and stuff where they just didn't have electricity, let alone anything else. They were printing on a printing table, and then they'd stack these panels up, and then they'd wait 48 hours, and they were done. They were dry. They were cured.
Yeah. Putting a crosslinker into the ink will affect the shelf life, obviously. We have different crosslinkers for different purposes.
Yeah, different strengths for different needs.
Different strengths, yeah.
It starts the bonding process, doesn't it? So it either starts it in the pot, or if it's really, really fast, then it's going to start to cross-link in the pot, which obviously reduces the shelf life. Yeah,
it does. Yes, and again, that would be determined by ambient temperature of the room. If you're in somewhere that's really cold compared with somewhere like Southeast Asia, it's going to cure a lot quicker down there, a lot quicker. And then the ink will start thickening. You can generally start to see it happen, but you can avoid it.
Once that happens, is it dead, or can you reliven it?
No, it's dead. Depending on which crosslink you use. So the 200 we talked about, once that's gone, you're not getting that back. But again, that tends to be more for problematic materials or things where you can't cure or flash for a long time. Products that will melt or shrink.
That's so interesting.
Certain polyesters.
I've actually done some tests with I think it was 500 Crosslinker 500.
Yeah, that's a really good product.
And that were onto them. You got like Alton Towers, and you have those things to stop you getting wet. And they're made from but they're the thinnest plastic you could ever. It's like a plastic bag, really. Yeah. So you can't put them anywhere near a heater.
No.
And we printed out on about 30 of them. But they were all over on top of every box because the only way you could dry them was to lay them out. We didn't have a washing liner out to hang them up because they were still wet. So every flat surface was covered in these. I'm going to use an old word. They were cagoules.
Cagoules.
They were a cagoule. Your mum used to pack you off. Make sure you've got some sandwiches and your cagoule in case it rains.
Oh, God.
We've had some customers in this weekend. Yesterday, we were printing on water repellent fabric. Again, on a nylon strinks and will burn under the flash. So again, Crosslinker 200 was perfect for that. So
do you have to do anything to it before you print it, like wipe it with alcohol or anything?
We don't.
No? So what's that? Aquaflex and Crosslinker sticks pretty much good.
Well, we used a product called Primer, a DWR Primer, which is water repellent primer. You print it as a base layer first, and then you can pretty much print any of our products over the top of it.
Oh, interesting.
So it's just a primer that bonds to water repellent fabric.
Yeah, so nice.
Getting a water-based ink to print onto water repellent fabric was a challenge. But
what colour is it?
What
colour is it?
It's
clear.
Yeah.
All right. So you put a clear down first. That gives the ink something to bond onto, and then you print on top of that.
Flash it, and then you can print pretty much anything over the top of it.
Awesome.
Wow.
Really good product.
That's so awesome. You could do with a resource, really, where people can go in and learn all about these things.
You could.
Funnily enough.
It's called the Magna Academy, and you're welcome anytime. Like I say, we've had customers from all parts of Asia this week, and we love having customer training sessions. Myself, Melvin, again, Tony, Rimy he's been over as well. We have a guy called Rim Tortoise, Rutkevelis.
What's his real name?
Rim Tortoise Rutkevelis, and he lives in Lithuania. And he's worked.
I only know him as Rimy.
Everyone in the industry knows him as Rimy. Yeah, he's worked for Magna about 15, 16 years, so he comes and helps us out. Again, he's a field tech, but he also comes out when we're busy.
Yeah, does some good specialist separations, good pseudo process prints.
He's really good with his art.
Sim process, really good at stuff like that.
Yeah, he is. And again, he's very knowledgeable. Traveled the world more times probably than Tony has. So yeah,
that's an achievement.
We've got a very good team here. So anytime you want to come to the academy, we can give you as much information as you want, Danny.
Have you been, Danny?
I went quite a few years ago. It must have been knocking on 5 or 6 years ago.
I thought it was about 7 years ago.
It probably was,
yeah,
long time ago. And at the time, I was sort of weighing up the. I think I was printing V2. To be fair, still am. I was printing V2 white as a base and putting pastel colours on top. And I really wanted to make that jump to full water based.
Yeah.
And I really did find the experience invaluable. I learned so much, and it was just such a pleasant experience. And getting a tour of the factory side of things.
Yeah.
And working with yourself and Melvin and Teresa. Just been a fly on wall, really, listening to everything. And
we always try and get as much information from customers before they come into Magna. That way we can tailor each visit individually for them and give like a bespoke experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Bring your problematic fabrics. Bring your
nightmare job.
Bring your issues. Bring your problems. Yeah, bring your nightmare job, and we will do everything we can to find a solution. But you've been, again, Tony, you've been a few times to Magna. It's really relaxed. It's a nice environment. We're all sharing information. We all believe that you should share information, and we all want to learn from this. So we take as much from the process as what you do.
Yeah,
Yorkshire is friendly.
It's got that down to earth, typical Yorkshire vibe about it.
It
is, yeah. So I mean, when you went, Danny, you were printing plasticol on top of aquaflex.
Yeah,
and I know you've expressed an interest, haven't you, in getting rid of that plasticol and changing back to water-based on top of water-based or just water-based. So for you, Paul, what sort of tips and tricks would you recommend for like blades, squeegee blades? Can we use the same blades when we're using like a water-based on top of a water-based as we do for plasticol on top of a water-based?
I think there's no reason to go out and spend a load of money buying things you don't necessarily need. I think proper press setup. Again, if you're using a certain type of squeegee and you're comfortable with it, we can adapt it so it prints with water-based, no problem. We print anything within the range. iSolids, we print anything from 60 all the way up to 70. Typically for colours, we would print 60, 90, 60 triple section. Again, we can be very adaptive on that. Inks like Discharge or ND Extra, where you're looking for the fine detail, or CMYK or process jobs, we'll probably have a straighter squeegee angle and maybe a harder squeegee like a 65 or 70 or even a 75. So again, whatever you've got, we can adapt it and make it work.
So that was a very Tony answer when I get asked that question, which is basically don't give any dead straight figures because people bring it back to you. So give a nice broad sort of, somewhere between 65 and 75 and make it work for you. Because people ask me that question all the time. What blade should I use for this job, Tony? I'm like, well, whatever works. What have you got?
Like I said, there's very little difference between something like a 60 and a 65. So if you've only got 65, again, playing about with the squeegee angle, playing about with the pressure, we're not driving it, the ink into the print. We're actually, you'll be surprised when you switch to water-based how little pressure you actually need and how much more depth and detail you can actually get. So again, we can dial back the pressure and we can straighten the squeegee angle and we can make use with what squeegees you've actually got. Again, if you've only got a certain type of squeegee in your small print shop, why go out and spend hundreds of pounds on something you don't necessarily need?
Yeah. I think in many respects, water-based, a lot of the Magna products, the old plasticol way of printing can be carried over. There are not too many dramatic changes. But that's one thing that going from plasticol to you pick up finesse a little bit. like you just described, you are trying to smooth the ink over the surface rather than drive it into the fibres a little bit more. So you are learning that little bit extra finesse. But as far as durometer and blade goes, when we started this podcast, we've got some questions in mind, and we're trying to give a range of skill levels. And if you're getting into it, if you're thinking of switching, your blades can almost carry over.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So something like the iSolids, any of our iSolids, so something like a blocker or an aquaflex, 60, 65, the red section, absolutely fine. Colours, or something like Discharge, or something like ND Extra, 60, 90, 60, be absolutely fine. And again, I guess we'd start off with like a more of a slanted angle for the bases. So maybe like a 15, 20 degree angle. And then as we got to colours, we'd straighten the angle up as well. So maybe like 10 to 15 degrees for the squeegee angle.
Yeah. And I guess the very basic main difference between printing plasticol and water-based is, I guess the flooding of the inks is the first thing. You need to keep that screen, that open mesh flooded at all times.
Yeah.
One of the things that worked for me so well on the manual was a spray bottle of water, just rehydrating that print, rehydrating that ink every couple of prints. Now that I'm printing on an auto, I have a fogger. It's fogging. How important do you think that is, or how beneficial do you think it is? Or would you have any other tips?
Well, again, I've been to several trade shows and we print on machines with foggers, and they tend to be, they're a great little tool. Again, certain parts of the world, places that suffer with humidity or really hot, print facilities, I would recommend them. But again, you're adding water with electrics and also metal, so it can affect the long term. It can affect the machine long term. I think a little bit of experience of printing water based can be equally as helpful as a fogger. So again, going back to what you just said, we would typically print all our inks 2 strokes. First stroke is to print the ink. Second one clears the mesh. Again, we would recommend a decent flood of ink over your stencil, so about 3 to 5 millimeters. The less ink that you have over your stencil, the more likely it is to evaporate or start getting drying in and things like that.
Yeah,
we would recommend a spray bottle at the side of your station. Just every now and again, when you see the ink start to thicken up, just a little mist. We're not talking about adding water into the ink. It's not recommended. No. I know people will do it, but we don't recommend it. A fine mist, and then again, adding little and often. So rather than throwing ink in right at the start, throwing a full kilo in or whatever, and watching it harden and crust down the sides, push to the back.
Guilty.
Again, we see it at every single print shop we go to. You see it and it's pushed it all right to the back, and all it's doing is baking over a warm pallet.
Yeah.
We recommend just adding little and often. And again, every so often, take the ink off the sides, put it back in the tub, give it a good stir, mix it in with the fresh ink, and then just do it that way. Again, on a long run, you're going to lose about 10% through dehydration. So you can put the mist of water back over it, and it just keeps it rolling.
Yeah. I run a 2-pot system, so I'll have a fresh fresh barrel of V2.
Yeah.
And then I'll have the scooped out of this green barrel.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll mix a little bit of the
exactly.
That always keeps it nice and fresh, and it's always flowing, rather than using one barrel where you putting the old ink back in. Have that 2 system.
You're printing a layer of skin. Yeah.
It's like custard at school, primary school.
Yeah.
Skin on top.
That's a really good tip. Actually, it's a really good tip. Again, it's all about keeping the moisture in the ink, keeping it running nicely. Again, when you stop, if you go and answer, an email or a phone call, take the prints, take the machine, put the pallets off index. You don't want a warm pallet with
good shout.
It's clean, basically.
And again, if you're going to, it depends on the ink that you're using as well. If you're using a high solids, you're going to have less open time than what you are from like an ND Extra or an HB, which very forgiving. You can leave it there, and it's not going to dry in the screen. So it depends which ink system you're using. But I think if you get into the sort of mentality that you switch into plasticol, first thing you do, you need to flood the pallets. two-stroke everything, nice and controlled, turn the pressure down, straight as squeegee angle, and like you say, have a spray bottle.
Yeah. So on the same topic, going from water-based V2 as a base, what base system are you typically putting on top of that, or would you recommend? I have in the past tried Aquaflex on top of Aquaflex, but having not printed it in a little while, I'm thinking about going back to full water-based.
Right, okay.
I'm seeing lots of new systems now, new bases, ND, HB, Discharge, etc. And I'm wondering if there is a system that you recommend or that is worth trying.
Absolutely. So we always say to people there isn't like a one-size-fits-all. I think if you put in Aquaflex on everything, you're basically taking a gun to a knife fight. You don't always need to do that. If you're printing tote bags, you're printing white T-shirts, and you're printing Aquaflex, it's an expensive process, and you generate an anfeel. If you're printing light colour garments, we have a product called ND Extra. ND stands for non-drying. And this is a really good ink when transitioning from plasticol to water-based, because it really doesn't dry in the screen. You have to try your best to block it. Me and Melvin have left it overnight. We've actually left it on the screen overnight, come back in the next morning, print it, print straight out.
Wow.
So again,
I need to try this.
Again, as long as you've got a good flood of ink over the stencil, it won't dry. This is designed specifically for light colour garments. It doesn't have any anfeel. It pretty much just feels like the fabric. You can go through really, really high meshes, so like 120T mesh. And the benefit about it is it's all printed wet on wet. So if you've got a small print shop, you can print 6 colours on a 6-station machine.
What would you recommend?
So interesting.
So what would you class that as then in the solids count?
If
we had a low, a medium, and a high, where would this fall?
This would fall into the low solids.
All right.
When we start talking medium solids, we have a product called HB, which is like a mock discharge. This product is, if you printed it direct onto a black garment, it would give you like a vintage effect, but we wouldn't have the vibrant, bright, opaque colours that you'd recognise.
Yeah.
Then what the HB is great because it can be printed over the top of Discharge or over the top of Aquaflex. So this is quite a versatile system. Again, we always say to people when they come into Magna, we have a black piece of garment, and we have all the bases printed on there. And say, right, what are you looking for? What effect are you looking for? And this will determine. Again, another nice tool that we always recommend is your little pattern cards or swatch cards you get from your T-shirt suppliers. If you do a drawdown on all these pieces of fabric, send it down the dryer in Discharge base, then you'll know with each T-shirt which is going to discharge and which isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you print in Discharge base, again, you're not using flash units, again, saving on ink costs. And if you're wanting something more vibrant, then you can flash the first Discharge base and then you can put HB on top. So again, the versatility. If you're looking for something even brighter, you can print Aquaflex as a base, put HB on top. And then if you're looking for like this solid vectors, typical sort of like the lettering behind that, big, vibrant, solid, bright colours, then it would probably be Aquaflex on Aquaflex. Again, it contains more binder. You can put more pigment in there. It's got a pigment loading of 12%, so you can pretty much hit any shade and you can get any colour. So,
is there anything we shouldn't do?
Pardon?
Is there anything we shouldn't mix?
Yeah, again, we don't really recommend. You know what printers are like; they know better than we do.
Oh yeah. If you whatever you say now, everybody's going to go try. So just big disclaimer, but
Magna have been selling for since 1978, but people will know better. Again, we get people mixing different bases. We get people putting additives in when they don't need to. We get people tweaking their own formulas. With all the inks that we supply, we have a technical data sheet which goes along with the ink. All of them are available on our website. So any of the inks that you actually look for, you're interested in, or you think about buying, on there will be a guide down the right-hand side, and it will tell you about curing, it will tell you about flash units, it will tell you about squeegee, it will tell you about additives, pigment, everything. So as long as you follow that list down the side, you can't really go wrong.
No.
And again, going back right to start, Tony, there isn't one ink system for everything.
No, I feel like you almost.
We would always steer. We would listen to the customer first, find out what they want, find out, and give them the quickest and best solution for them, not the most expensive. It doesn't really work like that.
No, it can't. No.
You almost need to become a little bit familiar with a range of bases.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need different bases for different jobs.
Yeah.
I think the mistake I made quite a few years ago, I mean, straight after the academy, I tried to persevere with aquaflex on top of aquaflex.
Yeah.
And I guess you've sort of answered my question. It's not the answer to every single job. It worked so well for a lot of jobs, but it wasn't the perfect solution for every situation. So I guess
as printers, we have favourites. And I often tell people I love to put HB on top of aquaflex, and then some people look at me and go, "Oh no, you should be using ND. Oh no, you should be using unactivated discharge. Oh no, you should be using," and there is no should be, as long as chemically there isn't a reason to never use two bases together, as in two ink types, not mixing two. I would never recommend mixing two different ink type bases in the same pot. But putting one ink type on top of another ink type, or mixing, even having all three different types of different categories of ink base, low solid, medium solid, high solid, in the same print, there's no chemical reason for that not to work.
No. So obviously ND Extra, going back to what you just said, ND Extra over the top of Aquaflex, it doesn't have enough binder in there to actually bond to the Aquaflex, with it being a low solid. So I wouldn't recommend that. That's when we'd start looking at HB or Aquaflex.
Yeah.
During sampling and during training days, one of the ink systems that we do recommend is a discharge base. We recommend flashing that just so it's touch dry only. HB colours on top, again, so you're not flashing. The HB colours you can be printed wet and wet. And then if you're looking for vibrancy and opacity, then you can step on the last screen at Aquaflex's highlight white. I'm going
to have to try that. I honestly have never tried a discharge base with water-based on top. In my old-fashioned 1980s brain, if you're going to use discharge, you might as well discharge all your colours.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? If you've got a red, yellow, and blue on top of on a black shirt, and you want to use discharge, you may as well discharge them all. But I can see the logic in that you're not throwing three tubs of ink away at the end when they're expired.
You're not throwing the ink away, but also, Tony, if you think about it, if you print a discharge base and then you print HB over the top, this will allow you to do like tonal work. Do you really want to be doing tonal work with discharge? I don't necessarily think so. Again,
no.
Discharge doesn't need an underbase, so you can't print discharge on top of discharge. So what we would do is we'd print a discharge base first, use like 4362 mesh, flash it so it's touch dry only. We don't want to start the discharge process. And then we would overprint it with HB colours, anything from like a 62 all the way up to a 90 mesh. So you're getting that detail, you're getting that dot, but you're getting that vibrancy of colour. Again, you're not flashing in between, so your ink costs and your energy costs are reduced. And then, if needed, then we would print Aquaflex or any special as the last screen. And the beauty
I like that tip. Actually, I'm keen to try that now.
The beauty about it is at Magna we've got an 8-station machine. Now, printing that way, it allows us to print 6 colours on an 8-station machine with one flash unit.
So you can step on 5 wet colours. Okay.
You can step on more if you want.
If you're using a discharge base, because there's no opacity in that base. A lot of people try and put a really bright base down, or one of my pet hates is making it discharge on press.
No, I don't agree with that, because you can get colour variation as well.
It's horrible, and it starts to leak underneath. It eats the glue. It's horrible. I tell people what you've just said there. 2-second flash, just crust the top, just dry it. We're not trying to make it discharge on press. It's a good tip.
Again, one of my pet hates is people using super white as an underbase.
I never recommend it. No, because it's crusty.
I have done that. To be fair,
the mentality is white, super white. Right, this must be brighter. It doesn't work like that as well. It doesn't work like that. You're better using discharge blending white, and then if you need more opacity and need more vibrancy, put that into your colours or your highlight white. That's what we recommend. But again, all these products I'm talking about, Danny, we offer a sample pack
that's interesting.
Free to anybody, basically, where they can just email me and just say, look, I'm interested, which route to go down. It's just a really good way. Again, going back to what he said, you've got to try it, but you've got to understand. You've got to understand your product. You've got to understand what your customer needs, and then you've got to understand which ink system is going to work best. And again, it's got to be printer friendly as well. We're trying to make.
What's in a sample pack? What's in that?
So in a sample pack would basically be prints of everything we've talked about so far. So there'd be the core product range. There'd be ND Extra. There'd be the HB, various discharges. There'd be aquaflex. There'd be aquaflex with a polyester blocker, and then there'd be special effects. So things like high density puff, metallics, pearlescence, things like that.
Special effects.
The special effects range for Magna's just
one of the really cool prints in the print technique pack is just all the bases all printed on one, so you can see beforehand. Should I use discharge? Should I use aquaflex? Which discharge should I use? Should I use HB? Should I use Again, we've got the plasticol on there, so you've got a comparison of all ink systems. I
saw a print you did, and it was basically every single white all on the same print. Yes. I thought that was such a cool way of demonstrating, and such a useful tool to have yourself if you're using the Magna range, because you've got that reference.
It is. So it's a great one when we go to customers. It's a great one for designers. It's a great one for the customer as well. Some people will like the opacity of aquaflex or the isolid inks, but they'll want the hand feel of a discharge. A lot of the time the customer doesn't know what they want until they actually see it. So we try and give them as much information and make it printer friendly as possible. So again, the print sheets that we send out will have the mesh caps on there. They'll have the inks used. They'll have the recommendations of what we recommend to get the best print.
Yeah. I like it.
Well, while we're talking about special effects, as a sort of like you've been there for like 12 years, watching them all come through, do you have one that sticks out in your head and go, right, you know what, I really, really like that. That's my favourite special effect. Because right now, where I've been in it a long time, I see this cycle. We've gone through glitter and puff and high density and metallics, and it goes back round again. Right now, we're in the puff era. I don't know why, but everybody loves 100%. Puff at the minute. I blame White Fox and these fashion brands that just keep printing puff and puff and puff. So what's the one standout for you, Paul, that you've seen and gone, I really like that?
My favourite to print is possibly bling silver. So bling silver is a metallic silver. It can be used as an overprint, or you can print it direct into fabric. You can pigment it any colour you want. One of my pet hates is, Tony, when you go into a print shop and they've just got racks and racks of ink that they've used one summer and then they're just going off. And they've got multiple colours. Again, bling is a metallic silver that can be pigmented pretty much.
Make it gold. You can make it gold, can't you? And now small confession. I've tried to make it gold and it looks shit. So basically, it's only very, very small drops of pigment to give it that golden look in there.
It is. So I always say to people, don't buy multiple colours. We will sell a silver, we will sell a bronze, we will sell a gold. Buy the silver. We've got the formulas of Magna Mix to make. Rose gold, copper gold. We've actually got about 160. We've got about 160 bling formulas on Magna Mix.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, right.
Yeah. So basically, you have got 160 metallic colours at your disposal.
Probably more.
Which no other ink system can say that.
Again, they all start with silver.
They all start with silver. So to answer your question, gold's just a bit of red, yellow, and black.
I know, but when I do it, it's like it's a printer's measure. No, we don't need scales. I'm all right. It's just 2 drops of that, 1 drop of that. It's fine, and it comes out like baby poo. And you're like, that's not right.
That's I would say for longevity, out of all the specials, that's the one that's popular every year that never really goes out of trend.
Yeah,
you always like
one year it's puff, 1 year it's mud crack. 1 year it's high density, 1 year it's burnout. It's all types of things. Another product
mud crack. Like, that sounds interesting.
It's like a vintage crack that will crack either manually or there's one that cracks on the dryer. For that vintage effect.
Yeah,
my prints just do that anyway. That's why.
That's because you're using Chernobyl as a dryer. That's why.
Again, to go back to your question, one of my favourite inks is a product called Multichrome Ice Blue.
Multi what?
multi-chrome ice blue.
That's like the iridescent.
This is an iridescent colour shifting ink, and the ice blue will always go back to like a silvery blue, but it will also pink. It'll move to the pink, green, blue side as well. So the idea is when you're printing it, on the next palette it'll look green or pink, and then when it stops in front of it, it's silver. So it plays with your mind a little bit when you actually print it.
Yeah, I love that.
And the beauty about that is you can put a little bit of pigment in there, and you can make any colour you want. Again, also, this needs to be printed over the top of a dark underbase for the particles to reflect up. Now,
dark underbase,
a black underbase. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be black. Now, what I was going to say was, if you print on a purple underbase, the silver will then start shifting to purple. So whatever colour underbase you print will determine the shimmer or the shift of the colour.
Oh,
so
I always wondered how that worked.
You can make your own bespoke colours this way. It really is good.
That's so cool.
In the past, what we've done is we've done like a print of brown, navy, purple, blue, red, dark colours, and then just printed the same ice blue over the top, and each one gets like a different colour tweak. It's
slightly change.
It's a really good effect.
So cool.
It really is.
That's so cool. One of the effects I saw that I was really quite impressed by is you've got a matte overprint, matte top colour.
Yes.
I saw it in a catalogue, actually. It was like a Magna Colours of all the different little swatches. And I saw that and I thought, why is nobody using that? It's like, that is ideal, because one of the key benefits of water-based is you're reducing the glossiness.
Yes.
And then that on top, it was as matte as it could get. It was amazing.
So we have, again, in this print technique pack, one of the prints that we have is a standard aquaflex in the middle. And then above we have matte top coat, which is a matte, which dulls off. And then at the bottom of the print, we actually have gloss. So you've got 3 different prints, the same print, the different effects. Now, you go to some parts of the world and they'll say, oh, your inks are too matte. And then the next part, you go somewhere else and they say, they're not gloss, they're too glossy. So we have to offer a bit of everything for everybody. So matte top coat is a really good, it really is good, I prefer, me personally, I prefer the matte effect rather than a gloss finish.
I prefer a matte finish. I think at the minute what I'm achieving is more, I like to use the salesman term, satin.
Yeah.
Not glossy, satin. But so many of my customers say, I absolutely love the finish. It's fantastic. Yeah. But then the other day I got a customer who made me and say, this just looks like a cheap eBay print.
Yeah.
And apart from crying myself to sleep at night, it just shows the difference in how people see things totally different. I suppose it's a little bit preference.
Again, this is why we offer all these different options. You've got to know your customer, know what they want, and you've got to offer everything for them, basically, because a lot of the time you don't know what you want until you've actually visibly seen it.
No, absolutely. And it can be different between niches. I know the band merchandise side of things will love the Discharge look.
Red and white on a black long sleeved. That's it.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Band merchandise tick.
Yeah, that's it. Done.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's been incredibly informative. We're not far off an hour.
We're very, very closely done. But, I mean, have you got somebody there with you, Paul, that you want to drag in just to say hello?
I don't have anybody with me at the moment. I've had Teresa stood outside the office and she's been waving and jumping up and down trying to put me.
Well, drag her in then, and we'll publicly shame her if you want.
Right, okay then.
And that way it stops you looking like Mickey Mouse with them 2 clocks behind your ears. When he sits in the middle of there, it looks like Mickey Mouse.
I've never noticed that till you said that.
I'm sat in the boss's chair today, with the aviate behind.
Well, you are the new MD now. That's it. You're done.
No, I'll stick.
This is a public announcement.
Yeah, this is the public announcement of Avian, isn't it? That you are now the
special guest.
I'm not.
Bring a special.
Is it off? Stop.
Yeah, we've done. Come and sit in.
Have you stopped?
Yeah, we stopped. Yeah.
Are you lying? I can see the big record.
Yeah, I think that's the giveaway there. Yeah.
Right. Well, I thought you wanted to jump in, Teresa.
Absolutely not. No. Okay. So,
all right. Well, before you do jump in, let's just sign off with Paul, because we didn't sign off there. I thought you wanted to actually be in the podcast.
No, very much not.
No,
absolutely not. You want to discuss it at all? No, that's a straight no. Right. Well, we'll cut.
Recording, okay.
You what?
Not while you're recording. Hi, Danny.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How was Vespa?
I bloody enjoyed it. It was lovely.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It would have been better if we'd have bumped into each other, but never mind.
Yeah.
I thought there were going to be a Magna stand at Vespa.
Did you?
I was heartbroken.
The what? It's
You
called
need to
Avian.
go to Long Beach and find it, okay? That's your official invitation for next year.
Well, I'm going to say next year will be Long Beach, and then I've ticked them both off, and I'll stop travelling then. That'll be me fill.
California. Any excuse?
Yeah, definitely. World's longest beach.
It rains in January. World's longest beach. That's it. Yeah, just short of bridge.
That's me.
So I'm told.
Listen, I'll let you sign off, but give me a minute at the end, okay? Not when you're
okay.
recording.
All
right. Right, well, thanks so much, Paul.
I can't believe how quick that's gone. It's gone so fast.
Flies, doesn't it?
We're just talking. We're just talking about stuff we know and stuff we love, which is printing. So we really need to get out more and meet more friends and make more real friends. But other than that, I think it's good. It's been really informative.
Yeah, I was nervous to start off with, but you've relaxed me both in. So yeah, thank you very much for that.
Oh no,
it's
our pleasure.
We'd love to have you in Magna, Danny, as soon as possible.
Yeah, do you know what? I would love another go at that Magna Academy because I think as a printer, I'm day and night. I've learned so much in the past 6 or 7 years, but I could take so much more out of another trip. So that would be pretty amazing, and I'd definitely appreciate that.
Again, if you're in the area, again, similar to Tony, if you want to pop in and just share some ideas or you want some information, just come and see us anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome. I feel like I'll put that in my calendar at some point because that would be so useful.
Good.
Right, superb. So thank you very much, Paul. You've been very, very informative. We can take shitloads away from that, so thank you very much.
You had to ruin it at the
end. No, thank you very much, Paul. You've been really informative, and we will take lots of information away from that. So thank you very much. And it all remains to say you have to say it properly. Yeah, the sign-off has to be done as Alcide.
Alcide.
See, it's easy. Yeah, you try and get somebody from Wolverhampton to say that, and it doesn't work right well.
No.
Right, cheers. See you.
Take care.
Oh, you keep giving me posh, no, she don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry Kool-Aid. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy Tee.